just a boy. Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am, but right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there's just 297 days until Christmas 2023. Oh boy. And I've got some news to share today, some channel news. We've got some developing situation going on here that hopefully will have a positive impact. And I've got my friends Jason Ward and Star Wars Meg with us today to talk about Star Wars. And what a great day to talk about Star Wars. It's Friday. And we've had 2 new shows drop this week that are, I think, were both high quality shows.
I forgot to watch. Dang.
So real quick, right at the top, there have been people asking me, "Hey Santa, how about you put your show in podcast format?" Right? And I'm like, well, that's a lot of work for me to do to export it because I talk
lazy.
Right, I know.
Lazy claws.
Jason, you're very loud.
Let me turn him down. There you go. Better?
I like
More
to be
better.
the loudest in the room.
Or better.
It means
There
my
you go.
words mean more. Okay, fine.
No, I think we got it. So Jason told me how to do it. You download it and then you upload it and then it's all good. And I've been like, who has time to do that? I don't have time to do that.
Pain.
It is a pain. But just recently, YouTube opened up a new feature for content creators called podcasts. So now you could create a podcast and you could take a video and you put it in your podcast playlist. And guess what? You get a podcast. Just like that. No downloading, no doing that stuff. But it's still just brand spanking new. It's only been out for like a week that YouTube's had this functionality. So let me show you guys real quick how this works. So if you go to YouTube Music, right, you gotta go to YouTube Music, and then you go to search, and you look for Star Wars Santa, like that. You see nothing. That's because I don't have any songs. What about videos? Yeah, we got videos. No. How about albums? No. Still no. No.
Stupid. What's this thing's problem, Santa?
I know. It's just like, how do you find Star Wars Santa on the podcast?
I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah, if you go to the library tab. Oh, look what I found. Oh, there we are.
Wow.
we've got several of them right here.
Looking svelte in the picture. Good.
Yeah, I mean,
out?
we'll get some improved thumbnails. But here you can see I've taken a lot of our videos and I've put them into the podcast format. So you should be able to listen to them through YouTube Music. You got to search for Star Wars Santa. You got to get to the playlists thing. And then look, there they are. And we'll be adding more content there that way. And there's supposed to be more enhancements coming down the road. We'll see about RSS feeds. We'll see about other things. But for now, this is how you can find us on the YouTube Music. Not just the YouTubes, but the YouTube Musics. And the way it's supposed to work is that even if your phone goes into sleep mode and you're just getting the free version of YouTube Music, you're not paying for YouTube Premium or something like that, right? it's supposed to still just play in the background, so you can listen to it while you're driving or walking or
They're
whatever you're
so
doing.
giving at YouTube. They really
Right.
are.
And then they play ads during it, so you get to listen to the
Yeah.
ads. But that's all good. That's all good. That's how that's supposed to
fair.
work. It's an experiment. Will it be great? Will it be awesome? Will it be terrible? I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, if somebody's working in in an office and if they have video open, they get in trouble maybe. Or
Right.
using YouTube is blocked at, certain aspects of YouTube are blocked sometimes. Maybe that's the good solution.
Right. If you've got YouTube music on your phone, you can search for it there. And you can
Yeah.
find it and listen to it. So it's a way for me to dip my toe into podcasting and to open this up for others. Because there have been folks who have been asking for it on podcast format, and at least this is one way. Yeah, this is why they take 60% of your money. Well, 40%. Yeah, Dale, you're not wrong. This is why they take 40% of your money. They do all the, and then supposedly all these YouTube content creators will give them more on the YouTube Music platform, and YouTube will get more subs. So look how generous we are being as content creators by giving them free podcast content.
It's a monopoly.
Yeah, whatever. yeah, it'll be 60% soon. That's true. That they keep raising it.
And somehow, I don't know how, but it's Paper Moon. Somehow.
somehow Paper Moon. Yeah. So there's that. Just another quick update. Kathy had surgery on Wednesday, as you guys know, and this surgery is going a little bit differently than the last. She's getting a lot of seepage out of that eye, and it's like swollen, and it's like causing her discomfort. She's not feeling well today at all. So Kathy's taking another sick day. She's down, and she's just not feeling well. So if you guys think of her, my wife, that would be great. Appreciate it.
I can do it.
All right.
I'll force trigger. You will get better.
Yeah, there's more details, but I don't want to talk about it. Like, they're kind of gross, so we'll just not do that. We'll just leave that out.
Yeah.
But there's the seepage is enough information, I think. So there's that. Okay, so we had a couple of big things happen, and there's also been some stories come out recently. Some of it we're not going to talk about today because there's been our good friend Jason and Bespin Bulletin yesterday completely gave us the rundown for episode 2, Mandalorian. We're going to talk about episode 1 today. We're not going to talk about episode 2. Episode 2, we'll talk about next week. That's next week. Well, yeah, there's plenty of episode 1 to talk about.
Not out yet. What are you doing? You haven't even seen it.
That's right. And if you want to spoil episode 2, you could do that. It's really easy to do on the internet.
Hey, speak for yourself, friend.
On the interwebs, they give us plenty of ways to spoil it. But there's also been a couple of stories. And if you saw Meg's video from today, you get an idea of some of what they're talking about there as well. So, but Mandalorian, season 3, episode 1. I'll tell you, my first thought was it went where I didn't think it would go so fast. Like, I expected Din to meet up with Bo later in the season, and I expected him to go like fully into this later. I didn't expect it to be like now, right? But that kind of threw me off.
It's one of those things. Like, I got like so many messages from people. Well, no, when I say so many, I mean like 5, but I figure when 5 people say it, then it's like a lot. You know what I mean? That just are lazy and don't reach out. It's like the stuff that we said, or I said what happened before, still happens, but they're just setting it this season up. Like, this season sets things up instead of just like going, oh, I have an idea, and then now it's an episode.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of cool. I kind of like that. I kind of like it better. That like we're seeing the little seeds planted in the first episode that will become bigger plot threads later.
Well, there's something else. We've been talking with Meg a little bit, and she heard some from some folks that, Meg, you said they didn't think the first episode was all that good before we saw it. Right, that a lot of people were going to be disappointed by it. We heard what the outline of it was going to be before we saw it, but we didn't know all the details like we know for episode 2. But for episode 1, we knew some things, but they said they thought. Refresh me. How did they kind of sell it ahead of time?
They basically said what happened, that Din's got to go to Bo-Katan and he's going to stop off on Navarro first. But I disagree with them. I thought that was the best episode of The Mandalorian, apart from The Siege. I think after The Siege, which I think is like the best Star Wars anything in TV, I think this was the greatest episode we've had of the entire show.
It surpassed my expectations. I was chatting with some friends online, and they said, "Santa, help me set my expectations for episode 1. I'm afraid." I said, "Well, I don't want to oversell it. From what I've heard, you may not be thrilled." But then I watched it, and it was like amazing. I had a lot of fun watching it. It was great. I've heard some breakdowns afterwards from some folks that nitpicking it. But look, if you start to try to apply too much logic to Star Wars, it's got problems throughout. And for me, there's no fun in trying to nitpick it.
I could tell you this: if you can't have fun watching The Mandalorian, you're probably really fun at parties.
I thought the same thing. Like I made a video about the Anzellan moment with Grogu, and I got comments from people who really didn't like it. And I'm like, if you don't like two adorable things hugging each other, I'm very sorry for the childhood you had.
Yeah, it's just I had so much fun. And look, I've been walking around the house. Kathy and I, we watched it Wednesday night, and then like even yesterday, I'm like, "Bad baby, no squeeze." No.
I thought that was amazing. I for the first time in my life, I felt a need to rewatch The Rise of Skywalker, even though it's not Babu Frick. And to answer Rissman's question, I don't think The Rescue was a very good episode. Everyone puts season 2's finale on a pedestal, but I actually liked The Last Jedi, so for me it was like, ugh, this again.
Oh.
This idea that Luke is something he's not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, he is, and then later he goes to a different phase of life.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's normally how our lives progress. And as somebody who's in their mid-50s, right, 55, I'm in a different place than I was when I was 25, 30. Coming right out of the Army, and as a younger man, looking forward to my career in front of me.
A young reindeer. Not a young buck, a young reindeer.
There were different goals. There were different places I wanted to be. And it's why my 40s were so difficult, because I didn't meet those aspirations, right? Like my 20s, coming on 30, I was like, oh, I'm going to go do these things. And then 40 came along and it's like, I suck. 45, I am terrible. 48, oh, I give up. I just don't have it in me anymore. I don't care. Then 50 came along and I'm like, you know what? I'm looking forward to being retired because I don't want to do this stuff anymore. I want to do fun things. And this ain't fun no more. So it's just a different progression in my life. And so to see Luke Skywalker move from, hey, I got to leave training to go save my friends, to going through a bunch of droids and just demolishing them. They're at the height of his strength, and like he's going to, fix the galaxy, to being the galaxy is a big place and there's lots of bad in it. And every time you fix something, something else breaks. And
well, yeah, Luke Skywalker hitting things with a lightsaber has never been what saved the galaxy in these stories. He kind of loses his way. He goes in trying to embrace tradition. He loses the lesson that literally saved him and his dad last time. So it's.
I don't like this idea that Luke is what he is in Legends, that he's just this badass superhero, Superman, just killing all the bad guys. Like, that's just not Luke Skywalker. Yeah. As Ryan Johnson said, if you listen to his actual words in Return of the Jedi, you understand what he is as a character, and that first and foremost is someone with a golden heart. He regressed to a farm life. That was what he was before. It's not I don't know how people have this dissonance between Luke in the original trilogy and then Luke in the sequels. Like that's of course where he's going to go if he's given up hope, regressing to a life of being a farmer. He was never this all perfect superhero.
No, well, right. And in Legends, he's more of that, right? And when we get him in the end of Mando season 2, he's certainly kicking butt. No problem.
Ahsoka is more the superhero, I think. I think Ahsoka is more that character.
Interesting. And speaking of Ahsoka, I'm very excited to see it. And let me bring it back to Mando a little bit. So in Mando season 3, episode 1, we see the Apostate, right? We see some new villains.
It's never not that word is just never not funny because it sounds like it.
We saw Din's prostate.
Well, my problem is I come from a very strong religious background, right? So
you don't have a prostate? I'm joking.
No.
Yeah, I come from a long line of butt stuff, so it's funny to me. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, as having pastored a church and preached and the pulpit things, I'm very familiar with the term means and the implications of it, and lots of debate in the Christian community about apostates and somebody becoming one, and all that kind of nonsense. So there's plenty of religious context around it. So for me, I connect it to that, but I get it. The word sounds like the word.
It sounds like the other word. You know?
It sounds like.
And God created prostates.
This is true, but off point.
Good work, G.
Anyway, we see some new bad guys. These pirates. Now these aren't the fun, loving kind of pirates. The real entertaining kind, like we get in Rebels.
They just want an education. They just want to go to school. What's so bad about them?
They're not the fun kind of pirate that tried to steal your booty.
Yeah. Well, you know who I mean, right?
The Apostate.
When we talk about pirate, the first pirate we all think of,
Hondo.
Yeah, right. Hondo, and Hondo Anaka. Right, he's just a fun kind of character. He's absolutely entertaining, and these guys are less fun loving. They're more piratey, and like, to your point, they wanted to go back into what was the bar and have some drinks in the bar.
They wanted to drink in an elementary school. It's like,
what was the whole point of them saying, this is a bar, we're going to go in here and drink, versus, no, it's a school? What's the whole point of that scene? Because I've seen some people arguing about it, and I thought they're kind of missing the point. But so
did you see my tweet about it? That's my theory.
No, I didn't see it.
I agree with Jason on
the
crew thing.
I mean, this is just speculation on my part right now, but I had scoops on Skeleton Crew having pirates. And pirates are the ones who attack the kids from a school, who then somehow hyperspace out and are lost in space. And those pirates, every single like Nikto, Barada, all of those guys, they're all there. And so my theory is Skeleton Crew is going to be launched from this show and this event. I'm not saying we're going to see the kids from Skeleton Crew when the pirates come back to attack Navarro in probably episode 4, maybe. But we might, but also my other theory is, what was the code name for Skeleton Crew? It was Grammar Rodeo. So what if they're from another school visiting Navarro, Grammar Rodeo, and they're going on the field trip there, and then it ends up,
I see. So you're saying that Jude Law's character may not be a teacher in the school on Navarro. He may be a teacher from a school on wherever.
Yeah, Zach's Lawn 7 or something. And so, I mean, it could go either way. He could be the teacher there or teacher from another place. Right. But the pirates the pirate races line up with the core crew that I was hearing from Skeleton Crew. From the bad guys, not Skeleton Crew itself, but the bad guys in Skeleton Crew. So I think it's gonna connect. I'm I don't have the smoking gun, but I'm 90% sure. Like that.
And there is actually more to that, apart from Skeleton Crew. In the
Mhm.
context of The Mandalorian, we seem to forget the whole point of that scene was that Grief Karga could show he's a good magistrate. He's cleaned up the town. And now, something that really stood out to me is that he's got a grudge against the New Republic. He wants Navarro to be independent. And just like Carson Teva, I think he can kind of foresee there being big systematic problems with the government.
Oh, I love it, Meg. I love it when you're right, you know? But I think that's absolutely on point. And this is why I wanted to bring up this whole confrontation at the bar. So, Jason, we mentioned it the other day when we were talking. That I think yesterday when we were doing our call-in stream, you brought up this parallels between school and pirates, right? And Skeleton Crew, some school and pirates. There's a parallel there. Whether we get the seaweed pirate or not, again, is the question. Is the same
Greenbeard? Greenbeard.
Greenbeard, the seaweed pirate. But Avast. I love that. So there have been people complaining about that too, but let's just go back to the school for a moment. What was the point of fighting about going in the school versus a bar? Why did they do that? Is that forced? What was it, like? There's people complaining about it.
I think it was forced because it's a setup for another show.
Yeah.
That's why, because it doesn't really make sense why like what he would have done if it wasn't that is he would have said, guys, we've moved the cantina down the street. Come and let me buy you a drink. He would have tried to have done it in a more
I think it's about who's in charge. Are you in
no,
charge or am I in charge?
It comes down, it does come down to that. But when you talk about how the scene was like written, the motivations for writing that scene in that way literally does not make sense unless you're doing something else with it.
I don't know. To me, it does. It's like Grief Karga saying, this is not the city you left it. We've cleaned it up.
So you think
It's
that's
not
the easiest way to write that scene though, that way? I don't think so. If you want to get that point across, have like this whole thing with the school and everything, but also I have a theory and I'm sticking to it. So,
well, I get your theory, but I think, having the fight about this used to be a bar, a place of villainy, scum villainy, right? All the nonsense that goes on with pirating, and
but
you guys were in charge. You guys were doing your thing.
Right?
Well, that's fine, but the point is, this isn't the place you left it.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the place you left it. There's another bar, but this is not it. You're not in charge. You're not going to set the agenda here. You're not going to decide this is a place where you get to buy with what you want to. Navarro used to be that. You used to be able to get by with, doing the pillaging, but not anymore, my friends. Not anymore. So it's about that place.
So you're completely right about the point, but the setup is weird and convoluted if that's not what it is. But that's what it's gonna be. We know that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be that. There's just wouldn't it be crazy though if it's not that? If they go and they do this like other show about these pirates who come and attack this
place. It can do that too.
And it's in the same universe, in the same. I know, but it would just be like, oh, and it happened again. Like it would be crazy. I think.
Where else would the pirates want to be in charge on Navarro that they're no longer in charge of?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, no, and once again, the like that concept of that plot point, that idea of conveying that idea and that concept, you could do that almost any way. And for some reason, though, they decided to do it with this school. And then the pirate logic of, well, we don't care. We want to go in the school and have a drink. What? I mean, you're a pirate.
Bar. That's a bar. We say it's a bar. It's a bar.
Yeah,
it was a bar, and we're in charge. It's still a bar.
There's no beer.
Jason, I could flip it. I could flip your points around on you, because if you're saying that's an awkward setup, it's got to be for Skeleton Crew. Why didn't they make the students and maybe have Jude Law in there as like an Easter egg?
We don't know that they won't.
So you think there's more pirates in this season?
Well, don't we think that the pirates attack from space down, and then that's when all the Mandalorians show up on Navarro, and there's the big fight in one
Yeah,
of the
that's
coming
true.
episodes.
That's
So
true.
so I'm kind of the opinion that they probably won't show us too much about that show, but
Okay,
I
Jason,
think the setup for it is here.
I'm fine with it being both. Why are you pushing back so hard? How else do you show that Navarro used to be in charge of Navarro, and now they're
Okay.
not?
You could just literally do that scene anywhere, however you want, with them wanting to have a drink. You could actually set it in a bar on there, but instead they're like, why the pirates' motivations for insisting that a school is now, it used to be a bar, so it's a bar now, and it's not. It just their motivation is brain dead.
Is it?
Yeah,
They're saying we're in charge. You're not.
yeah. It's like me going
made
into
this
like
into a
Walmart
school.
and
We
wanting a
don't
lap
approve.
dance and saying I'm going to get a lap dance at Walmart. You're like,
No,
this isn't the strip club,
Well,
pirates.
it used to be a bar. Again, it goes back to
Right.
Grief Cobra cleaning up the planet. It was the bar that we
Right.
see in season 1.
And
Yeah.
there's probably a bar still there. There's probably a new bar there. Probably
down the road. But
Right.
what they're saying is we reject your changes. We want it to be the way that it was.
Yeah, see, I'm on board with you on what was the point of the scene. That is the point of the scene. We're on the same page there. I'm saying the setup of the scene itself wasn't really efficient and makes you go like a little bit more than you would like need to. Like you could like literally have had them go into a restaurant, start eating food, grabbing stuff off the table, drinking like pirates, and he's like, "Whoa, this isn't that place anymore, friend." And it's the same scene, but instead they went with the weirdest setup in the world. If I said, go find me a scene where pirates show up at a school insisting it's a bar, I don't think you could find one. I don't think it's ever happened before.
I got you.
That's why I'm like, I think there's
All right.
smoke
So
here.
the other
smoke
part
here is what I'm saying.
is the pirates themselves. Are they too on the nose like pirates from like Pirates of the Caribbean, pirate imagery we get from
I love pirates.
all
love
kinds of
But
movies?
that is fine though, because like I'll be watching like an old Disney film and I'll be like, oh my gosh, Star Wars stole this. Like I was watching Lilo and Stitch. The amount of things that they've used in The Mandalorian that relates to that first Lilo and Stitch film was mind-boggling.
I thought you were going to say like Treasure Island or something. And I was like, but yeah, you're right.
That
You're right
too.
though. You're not
feel like
wrong.
All of
You're-
art
you're-
over time, especially mainstream Western art, like feeds off each other quite a bit. So I definitely agree with Santa. Like that was definitely Captain Davy Jones just in green.
Yeah.
But
Well-
I think it works. I
Well-
liked it. I like the design. I think it's refreshing to have something so Star Wars-y but so different. I know a lot of fans
Yeah.
are like very cautious about that, but I love that kind of world building.
Yeah, the people are like, it's too not Star Wars. Like, it's too, like, movie history stuff. But Mando
No,
season 1, episode 1 went straight to that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
anybody who says that is literally being very selective about what Star Wars in this point. I mean, in terms of like pirates in Star Wars, that's been there since day one. Since before Empire Strikes Back and you were buying Marvel comics, there were like pirates just like those pirates. And they're, you know what I mean? They're like all of that stuff. Yeah, that's a weird one to pick, but what is Skeleton Crew? It's an Amblin Goonies style adventure. And who do the Goonies fight? Pirates and modern, they are fighting against the history of pirates, and they're fighting with booby traps and actually like modern pirates with criminals. So it you know what I mean? It's like Star Wars and pirate. I mean, Lando calls him a pirate, calls Han Solo a pirate. It's an insult to them, to the smuggler.
well, I look, when Mando walked in the bar in episode 1, season 1, right? Chapter 1.
Yeah.
Mando walks into the bar. That's a Western bar, complete like saloon. That's a saloon, like sliding the mug down the everything. When that was just screamed saloon.
Yeah.
Like it's an old Western. Is that not Star Wars because it's an old Western?
The Millennium Falcon is a pirate ship in certain ways. He's not you know what I mean? It's all pulling from that stuff. So you can't go, oh, Star Wars pulls from Westerns. It doesn't pull from pirate films. No, it pulls from pirate films just as much as it pulls from Westerns.
I've got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if you also thought this, and I know they're very different species, but the minute that green guy showed up, did you also kind of think he looks like the archivist from the Crimson Reign comics. She
Oh,
was
I
that
haven't
blue
seen
woman.
Crimson Reign.
If
Haven't
anyone
seen the
has,
comics.
remember. I thought a Swamp Thing. I thought a Swamp Thing and Davy Jones or whatever that guy is.
Mossy
from
Jones. I love KG,
Yeah.
but
Mossy Jones.
Mossy Jones. Look, I thought it was funny. And I don't mind it, me personally. I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm too shill. Maybe the problem is I just love that
Well,
stuff
we have to
too
see
much.
more. We definitely have to see like that on screen for actual, not just you're in my way, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna make a whole theory about how this is the best or the worst off of like 5 seconds of a guy getting up out of a chair and getting mad at a camera. It could be really good, or it could be like, you know, the more we see, the worse it gets. That could happen too. So
Well,
it's kind
the
of too early.
comment about pirates fighting over a bar is so not George Lucas, right? Seth says it's so not George Lucas. I don't know. Like
Wait, he made the cantina in A New Hope.
it's
Yeah,
very
that's
George
online.
Lucas. I disagree.
like that's my seat.
Look at
Oh,
look
sorry.
at
Didn't
look
mean
at
to-
how
like
Dr.
well,
Evazan is dressed like a pirate, like literally dressed in pirate clothes.
I don't like you. What? Well, sorry. Right. Well, I'm gonna kill you. Right. Like, like what? And droids. We don't let those kind in here. How is it not? I mean, all of that is the same. Yeah. I mean, again, the criticism over that particular setup. I get what you're saying, but to me, it feels pretty George Lucas-y. Maybe he'd done this, you know.
Oh, he's saying it's so is so George Lucas. He's saying it is George. Okay,
Oh, it is.
Oh,
Over
okay.
whether it's a bar. Is. Oh, I read it backwards.
We're on the same page, Seth. We're on the same
Yes.
page.
You're 100% correct. It is so George Lucas-y. Sorry,
Yeah.
I read that wrong. My bad, Seth. You're on the right page. That's exactly it.
You know what I was thinking, guys? I saw someone mention this in the comments about Order 66. I just realized big spoiler warning potentially, but I've heard from a few places the person who comes through that door is Anakin, right? Like
Yeah,
Hayden
that's
Christensen.
the assumption.
That's the assumption, but I just don't think that's going to be the case. If they were really smart and thinking ahead, why not have it be like Ray Stevenson's character or someone that's going to still be alive and connect into like the Ahsoka show? Like, I know it kind of has to be Anakin when you think of who was at the Jedi Temple that night, but I'd love if Barriss Offee just swept him up and it has some kind of relevance. And going to the Pirates thing, do you think there's a connection there? Because how does Grogu go from the Jedi Temple to Alvala 7?
Well, we got like
That might be a stretch.
but also
We've got like
I mean,
20
there's
years.
like
Yeah.
25 years, right?
Yeah. But I'm saying that story should connect to someone who's still alive, I think. Unless he was taken by Anakin to Palpatine and then Tantis or something like that.
Matt's going to be surprised if it really is Anakin. Is it just because you don't want to get your hopes up, Matt? Is that it? Like, I don't want to believe it's Anakin, so I'm going to think that it's somebody else. And that way, when it is Anakin, I can be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think Anakin's the logical person. We know that Hayden was involved with Ahsoka.
Right.
He could have easily done a scene.
Yeah, and Theory broke it down. Like, that was a scene that was shot for Revenge of the Sith. But in the movie, it ended up just being a hologram that Obi-Wan watched. But the scene was actually shot with Hayden. So
Did they shoot Hayden in Kenobi for the Reva Order 66 scene? Did they shoot him for that there?
Yeah.
Because they could have shot some. They could use that footage if they need it too.
No, it was clearly older Hayden Christensen. Like
No. That's what I'm saying though. Is they might just use what they shot for Kenobi or around the time of Kenobi.
I see.
And in that, if it is Anakin.
So you're saying they could have actually had a Grogu puppet for Kenobi, but it was really for the Mandalorian.
Or they just shot something of him coming through the door for that, and they have like they shot it a few times, and they're like,
Right,
yeah, we could
just
use that
like
Mando
when-
instead of getting him back and stuff.
right, just the end of Mando season 2, they weren't there when and
when Luke shows up,
Luke was actually there, right?
Yeah.
They weren't there when he was doing his scenes. They were
Yeah.
doing it to like nobody. It's just because of the camera angles, you don't see them in the same scene together. So they were never there to see Mark Hamill. Like
Yeah.
they didn't know that, and that's why they were able to fool him so much. So same thing, right? They could have done the shoot with Hayden coming through the door and all of that, but you'll never see Grogu in the same shot.
Yeah.
It may
Yeah.
go back and forth like this. Angle,
I'm
that
inclined to
angle.
believe, though, that the Order 66 flashback has relevance to the story itself, like it did in Boba. In Boba, it wasn't random. It was Luke trying to understand or help Grogu understand his past. He's like, was there anyone who spoke like that back home? Do you even remember back home? And I feel as though that added a lot to, well, Grogu's now with the Jedi, and there's a connection because Luke is Anakin's son. So I kind of hope they're not just going to throw that in when Grogu's gazing off somewhere, but rather having an implication to the story. That would be very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's I want to get to Bad Batch as well, but there's still so much to talk about with Mando. There was another story came out. Rick did an interview, and in that interview, he mentioned how different influences to the story arc were used. We already know how season 1, season 2 was built off of like Paper Moon and the wolf and cub relationship. Rick brings in another example that they used as inspiration. And
For season 3.
I believe both of you have seen it. Like
The kid.
the kid.
By Charlie
Okay.
Chaplin.
Give us a quick rundown of the kid since you've seen it. What is the kid? What's it about? I haven't seen it.
Jason's got more familiarity with it.
So it's a movie star in the beginning of the film, and a painter. They're not movie stars yet. They're young people, and she gets knocked up. She has a baby. Her only sin was motherhood, it says, and she drops the baby off at. She wants to take it to an orphanage, but she has the baby like in like an orphanage kind of situation. She keeps the baby, then she decides I can't live my dream and have this baby. So she goes to a nice car and she puts the baby in the back of a car. And then 2 guys come and steal the car. And then they realize, oh, there's a baby in the back seat. So then they throw the baby into an alley. And then Chaplin shows up, just like walking outside, and he thinks, what is this? And he tries to get rid of the baby, and he can't get rid of the baby because the cops keep saying, what are you trying to do? Put your baby in the trash and stuff. So he ends up keeping it. And then we go 5 years later, he and the 5-year-old now are best of friends, Mando and Grogu style. And he goes around, and the little kid like throws rocks through windows and breaks windows, but he's a window fixer. And so he shows up, and it's like a little scam that they have together. And then as the story goes on, the mother becomes a big star. The father of the child becomes a famous painter. And then they have this chance meeting where they meet, and then they're like both sad because they don't have the baby, that they had together. They wish they had him. And then she starts doing work with poor people. She's coming back, and she's like feeding poor kids and stuff, and bringing apples and giving out money and stuff. She's really charitable. And as the story has, she's basically like doing it on the doorstep of her son's house. She just doesn't realize it because it's a movie. And then, but then we have this other little stories that go on where like the little kid goes out and there's a bigger bully in town, tries to beat him up. He beats up the bully. Then the bully's father comes and is like, makes them fight again. But he's like, if your kid beats up my kid, I'm going to beat you up, Charlie Chaplin. And then, but then so Charlie Chaplin, there's little funny moments where Charlie Chaplin's like holding his kid back and letting his kid get beat up. But then his kid gets knocked down, and he's like, well, he did it. Your kid won. And then the little kid gets up and knocks out the bigger kid. And it's like a little fight. So that stuff might pertain to some of the stories in here. That kind of stuff might pertain to the infighting of the Mando kids and what we got going on. And then, but at the end of as the story goes on, he basically, the state tries to take this kid away. And then at the very end, the mother puts out a bounty on her kid, literally $1,000 if you could find her son. And somebody takes the son, hands it back in, and at the end, Charlie Chaplin ends up going and living with the movie star, and the kid, and everybody's happy. And so it's a weird inspiration for it. I was really trying to figure out, knowing what we think we know of the season, and I'm like, man, a lot of this is a real big stretch.
Yeah, so there's a problem, and I want to be careful because Seth says a big reveal from next episode leaked. Yes, Bespin and Jason covered it yesterday, and there's actually some more stuff coming that I think Bespin's going to release maybe today. Some speculative kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's not touching.
No, and in addition to that, like somebody posted the entire like breakdown scene by scene.
Well, after we went and did it, they're all, oh, okay, we could post this because they confirmed it. It's like,
yeah. So there's plenty of places you can find it. You can find it on Reddit. You can find it on Making Star Wars YouTube channel. You can find it on Bespin Bulletins. You can buy him a coffee. All of that. So episode 2 is spoiled. If you want to know it, you can know it. So the problem now is that the kid, knowing what we know, and then trying to speculate out, not only knowing what we do about episode 2, but Jason, what you've already told us about the rest of the season and sort of how it ends. It's hard to talk about that without getting too spoilery. So I think we'll avoid that because I would like to, speculate, but we really can't. just let you all know that Rick kind of talked about it. We know some things and we can make connections. I just don't want to do it here. Right? We want to talk about episode 1 more and move on with that. And we'll talk about some more spoilers next week when we get to episode 2. And we'll cover it there. I do want to go here because before we go to Bad Batch, we did get a Patreon question from Fitz in our live stream questions. He said, do you think the pirates will take over Navarro and the Mandalorians will fight to free the residents of Navarro?
I do.
Yeah, I think that's in the trailer.
Yeah, we saw what appears to be the pirate ship raining fire, I think, down on the my ride's here. No, but we saw, I don't know, was that Meg? But we saw the pirate ship raining fire down on Navarro. And so on the port, I guess, of Navarro now. And it's a port, so pirates are going to attack ports, as we know. And so I'm going to imagine though, it's going to make for an interesting kind of scenario where we're going to have the port of Navarro probably defended by Mandalorians in the future. Like I would imagine there's going to be some kind of reward for that, but I guess they get back together. We're guessing without spoiling it, episode 2 happens. And then around episode 3 to 4 ish, maybe, the pirates come back for revenge and they're like, Mando, we need help. And then Mando's going to come and maybe call some allies with him to help defend.
I like where you're going with that, because if that happens, well, again, I don't want to get into spoilers, so I'll stop. Mm-hmm. I'll stop. But yes, I love this. The sounds of London.
Makes a transformer, and she's in like her car mode right now. Beep beep.
No, it's there's actually a sign on their window that says "honk and I'll flash." I don't know.
Oh wow!
I'm just. That's why all the honking.
About this.
Meg's like, I don't know about that. I don't know if I agreed to that.
I'm just saying. That's why there's so much honking, right? People are like,
well, they're doing roadworks down the road, and there's like this this stops, like artificial stop sign, so it's kind of difficult for cars to get through.
Oh, I see. I like my story better.
Could be a zombie outbreak. Just saying.
It could be. Yeah, we have some trailer stuff that we can deduce from that, and we do expect Mando to come back and the other Mandalorians to join him. Again, there's some stuff. I hate to do this because it's so difficult to talk about without hitting the spoilers. But we have a situation that it just put it out there for folks to connect the dots, and I'll put the dots like this close together, and then you guys can connect them. Okay. So the first is Din and the Covert aren't in really good terms right now. Right? You're not Mandalorian. Appreciate you killing the alligator turtle beast, but get out. And and so
It's really funny. It's
the beam. Yeah, I know it's entertaining me too. But then we do see the other Mandalorians all of a sudden
I'm
helping.
gonna close my window.
Why are the other Mandalorians helping if they don't like Din so much?
yeah.
That's my 2 dots. They're like this close. You
Well,
guys connect them.
I'm gonna say, you know what? We don't even need to know any spoilers. And if we didn't know anything, my logic would be he showed up in an N1 Naboo starfighter and he blew the hell out of a dinosaur that was gonna kill us. And so maybe we owe him one. That would be good enough just for that would be the most responsible speculation, I think. If you knew
There you
nothing.
go.
Right? I mean, that would make sense. I think that's what we would be saying
Mhm.
in another universe.
People in the chat are just entertained by the honking as well. We're all enjoying
Honk
it.
if you agree with Santa is
And then it goes strangely silent all of a sudden. Okay. The Bad Batch. We have Metamorphosis this week, and boy, what an episode! We get a tie back to Clone Wars. We get to see what happened with the Zillo Beast after it attacked Daddy Palps on Coruscant.
Daddy
right?
Palps.
Yeah, I don't know.
Daddy Phelps.
It just came out that
Have you
way.
been on TikTok again? Somebody take his TikTok password away.
I've been in a weird mood for a couple of days, and it's just, I'm silly. I don't know why, but it's just so but anyway, he had them take it and experiment on it, right? And that's all we saw. We don't know what happened, right? So
I agree with you. We don't know what happened.
yeah, we get to see now this Zillo Beast, or the results of some experimentation, right? They've been able to use some cloning technology from Kaminoans, but it's different, right? Omega's like, this is Kamino tech, but it's different. So we see that the Empire's been meddling with it. They're trying to improve upon it. Why? Why are they trying to improve on Kaminoan cloning? For what reason would they do that?
I don't know. Why?
Maybe.
Yeah, is there a punchline?
No, I'm opening it up for some good speculation here.
Maybe they've
Palpatine.
stuck out their necks too far. Put them.
No, I'm just thinking that Palpatine needs a stronger clone. He needs something better than the clones, and the Kaminoan cloning doesn't achieve the task.
Well,
So they've got to try
in the-
to improve upon it. They've got to make something better.
Back in the day when they were talking about the Zillo Beast, they were like, "Oh, like the armor is going to lead to this like really advanced new armor." And when that was happening, but it was always like, "Well, we know the clones don't really get that tough, and we know that stormtroopers suck." And at that point, death troopers and stuff like that didn't exist yet. But so like the assumption back during the Clone Wars era was it was going to lead to Darth Vader, like the technology that leads to like Darth Vader's armor or something. That's where all the speculation used to go. And that was like, okay, it kind of makes sense that this might lead to something like that. But in terms of the story that we have today, I still don't know if they crack it, if they whatever they like do with it. I was a little my critique of the episode was it was like almost just like a redo of like, here's the Zillo Beast in case you didn't watch the Clone Wars, and I'm like, well,
That's why I liked it.
I wanted to move forward. Like I was hoping that at the end of the episode, I was hoping for like the thing where they have it cut open on the table and they're like, but I'm hoping that maybe by the 14th or 15th episode, when like we get to like the big like culmination. I'm hoping that's where like the reveal is, like about why did that matter.
Well, I think in this episode we managed to get the Zillo Beast at Mount Tantus. Like, that's what it accomplished. It establishes, we had at the end of season 1, Mount Tantus is a cloning facility. We're coming back there now, and now we know that there's all kinds of stuff going on there with cloning at Mount Tantus, including the Zillo Beast, right? So I think they're setting up Mount Tantus to be this big cloning facility, replaces Camino, and now this is the Empire's cloning facility. Uses some Camino tech, and they obviously still need some help because there's this big kind of threat to Nala Se. Says, help us or else. And she's like, what you gonna do? I said, well, we'll do something bad. And then she's like, psh, go for it.
Yeah, I like that line where they mention, they're like, why did they destroy Camino to the Kaminoan? And then they're like, well, it's about control. Like, they basically want to go to Mount Tantus because that's they'll have complete control. They're removing the like power out of the Kaminoan hands. And I was like, okay, I like that.
Yeah. And the next episode, again, I'll try to save spoilers too much for Tuesday. With Tuesday, we'll talk more spoiler territory because I basically know what the next episode is also a Mount Tantus episode. I'll leave it at that.
Has it? Yeah. Well, we know it's got crosshair. D. Bradley Baker already spilled the beans. Well, so Jason's theory of the Dark Trooper experiment could be coming true.
That's true. And we also learned something else since the episode. Actually, it was a bit of a confirmation, right? D. Bradley Baker played Scorch. So the trooper in there, there's, is it Scorch or is it not? In the credits, it does say Scorch. So we know that, and we know Crosshair is going to be in the next. So the threat is, well, we need to do something that she cares more about than herself. Who does she care more about than herself? And Crosshair gets involved. How would Crosshair tie into the story if, and again, we can speculate, there's a right answer and a wrong answer, but how does Crosshair get involved? Is he going to hunt down the Bad Batch to capture Omega so that they can experiment on her? Are they going to use Crosshair as maybe some of that carrot for Nala Se? Does she care about Crosshair enough to save him? Why does Crosshair get involved with Mount Tantus?
I don't see him tracking down the Bad Batch because he failed miserably like twice. I don't see why they'd give him another chance.
I think he's going to have second. I think when he gets into the thick of what they're doing, I think that's going to be his wake up call. That's when he's going to realize that, like, this isn't good. But does he try to defect at that point, or does he just go with it still? Because he's such a weirdo, Is he going to lead the Dark Trooper program? We've been all talking about, it looks like that, right? We're seeing some hints of it already, and it would seem that he's going to lead that program. Yeah, and I think the answer is I think that the answer is in Mandalorian with Pershing when he's telling him that they have I know Dark Troopers and Death Troopers are two different things, but I think that the Death Troopers become the Dark Troopers who become that generation of Dark Trooper, but he says like they improved it by removing people. Essentially, they're like pure robot or pure droids now. And so I have a feeling that would imply at some point the human element, like RoboCop, is the flaw in OCP's system here, is that the human element comes out, but that also seems to imply that there's some kind of control mechanism that they overcome. And so that's where my mind goes with this whole story.
Fitz asked, with Rampart in jail or dead, who would Crosshair take orders from? And
Your mama.
Risman's-
Oh, sorry.
She's very commanding.
Risman is correct. It's going to be Dr. Hemlock. Like, that was the chop off one head, two more eyes. Not only the connection to Hydra and the Zillo Beast, but we had the loss of Rampart. You needed it, so you cut off that head. Who's the new head that's in charge? I think Hemlock.
His middle name is Royd.
So Hemlock gives Crosshair head.
Hemroid Lock. This is what-
Hemorrhoid Lock gives Crosshair head.
Yeah.
He's the one giving him head. Okay.
What's the poison Hemlock? Hemlock does something poisonous. It's not good. You shouldn't eat it.
Really?
Shouldn't ingest it.
Hemlock's
bad
the
for you,
thing?
right?
I've never. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never heard of him.
You
Never
never
heard of him.
heard of Hemlock?
No, I haven't.
Come on now.
Heard of hemorrhoids, but not hemlock. So.
Oh my goodness, it's a noxious weed. It's
okay.
a widespread toxic biennial plant in the carrot family, I just see, often found in open sunny areas, vacant lots, and roadsides. Eating a small amount of this part of the plant can kill people, livestock, and wildlife. Very poisonous. Not good for you.
Okay, so it's a good name. Good name for
You know
that
where
guy.
the Zillo Beast was transported from? Ruben Oliver in the comments. From Roswell.
Where was Roswell? The planet Roswell.
Planet
Not
Roswell.
the one in New Mexico. Yeah.
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 Matt Risman says hemlock poisoning is how Socrates died from Bill and
Socrates.
Ted. No, from Bill and Ted. Socrates.
From Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Socrates. It's not good. It's not good. So yeah, I think Hemlock is set up to be the new bad. And in this case, you do get kind of an on the nose name, right? Dr. Hemlock. Is he a bad guy? I don't know. Let's name him after a poisonous plant that'll kill you. Like Dr. Murder.
It was
I don't
Grace Rudolph who first said that the guy's name would be Hemlock.
Yeah. Or you want to try some death sticks? Right? Like it's on the nose. Again, another real George Lucas-y kind of move. Let's name him Dr. Hemlock. Let's call him Death Sticks. Same thing.
I'm sorry, but the guy who called somebody General Grievous wouldn't do that. What are you talking about?
Well, Darth Sidious.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Darth Tyrannus.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
In the original trilogy, even though it's not mentioned, was there an awareness in the fandom that his name was Darth Sidious? Or did they just call him Emperor Palpatine back then?
Emperor Palpatine. It was Emperor Palpatine. That Sidious wasn't created until
Wasn't even Emperor Palpatine.
Phantom Menace.
So
And
much.
you got Emperor Palpatine in the Return of the Jedi novelization. And that's the only reason why we knew that his name was Palpatine, because that's also never said.
Okay.
And most people said it wrong. I remember people calling him Palpatine and stuff like that, all kinds of stuff before
Palestine,
we got
Emperor Palestine.
yeah, Emperor Palestine. Before we got to the Phantom Menace, like it was, and people also called it Coruscant because George Lucas didn't decide it was Coruscant until the Phantom Menace. So
Yeah.
Coruscant
And that
appeared
came-
before the Phantom Menace in books, didn't it? Just like
Yeah, it did.
Ord
Yeah.
Mantell. Well, Ord Mantell was mentioned in Empire, and then it appeared in the Dark Horse comics,
right,
and it looks very different.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
George Lucas, when he first created it, it was called Had Abaddon for Coruscant, and then the Had Abaddon concept became Coruscant when Timothy Zahn took over. But when you would hear them talk, they would say Coruscant, and you even hear little Jake Lloyd struggling with it because he said everybody said Coruscant, and all of a sudden George Lucas decided to go with the fancy or French pronunciation of it. And they're like,
It's a
Are you an
croissant.
angel?
It's Coruscant.
An angel?
or the Deep Space Pirates talk about him. Yeah. Great
Yeah.
stuff, George.
I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
Chapachawa.
You
I
guys are
love
so good.
Sebulba. It's such an underrated thing when where he grabs Jar Jar. He's like, "Nai, Chuba Nai." I love that bit.
Okay.
I know the
And-
prequels very well.
Me too.
Yeah,
They're the
yes,
best.
you do. So Bad Batch, Metamorphosis, and from what I've heard, pretty much the rest of the season involves this story arc, where we started from Metamorphosis. So,
Oh, good.
Very much
Good.
looking forward to where we're headed from here, and I think it's exciting to be able to see these episodes. I only wish they weren't happening the same night. I said this before, but having both episodes released the same night to me is just too much. And there was a question earlier, when we get through The Mandalorian in a couple months, what is the next thing to fill the void between Mandalorian and Ahsoka?
Young Jedi Adventures and Star Wars Visions
Thank you, Meg. Yes, exactly.
on May the 4th.
So on May 4th, we're getting some more content. Are they going to release those like they did before, all in one drop, like Visions, all in one drop? My expectation is yes, which means we'll have some gap between May and late August, September-ish before Ahsoka.
That makes sense.
And if we go with what Bespin said, it could be later in September than earlier. Right?
Yeah. Well, if they don't double up any weeks or anything like that, they're gonna have to start Ahsoka pretty much in the first week of September.
Well,
in order
but
to
Bespin's-
get to, they have to do 16 weeks of content at that point.
But Bespin's playing off of the Marvel content, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Marvel shows, and he's just doing math.
He's saying it's going Marvel, and by the way, his accounting, I think is right.
Yeah.
I think it's right. If they do go Marvel, but that's the whole thing, is he's hearing they're going to do that, and I think that's such a mistake if they do that, though.
So we're
Like,
gonna get
they should alternate, but they're
Yes.
not being smart.
well, and again, what's wrong with different days of the week? What's the magic sauce in Wednesday? That's what's killing me. But
It's because that way people are successfully warned that they should, or told to watch that on the weekend. That's the
I
whole
see.
point. When they drop it Friday night, nobody's written an article telling you, "Oh my God, this episode of Ahsoka was important because they had space whales in it, dummy." And then they're like, "Oh, I gotta watch that," because it comes too late. So
I see.
that's why they moved to Wednesday. It gives
they're really looking for social media influencers to
influence your weekend viewing.
to do your marketing for you.
Yeah.
So they're
Which
just
is what we do when
leveraging
you
that.
think of it. Like, whether it's these streams or the videos we make, it's all for advertising for Disney, ultimately.
It is, and so they should put us on payroll. I'm just saying. I'll take
Pay
it.
us. Pay us
True
now.
Disney chills.
Oh,
That's
like I
exactly it.
said, I would love. I'll shill for you. Pay me, and I'll be like, "Oh my God, you guys! The Bad Batch is a thrilling adventure in the stars." You know, I'd totally do it. But
Hey, I'm on board. But every time my subs just go down, so I don't know. I'm I don't make enough money on YouTube to be able to support myself for sure. Yeah. So hey, sign me up, and I'll work for them full time. I'll do it. Hey, I'm available. I'm just saying, do it. Yeah. I don't get screeners. I don't get anything. Well, it's because they know I'm friends with you. They're like, no, we can't show Santa anything because he knows Jason, and then that'll be the end. That'll be. That'll be it. Yeah.
Or they might try to sweeten the deal so you would turn on me, become my enemy.
Well, just saying, if the money's right.
No, yeah.
Jason's
no. We can just hang out and talk on the phone, act like we hate each other, and
exactly. I do have your number. I mean, we've done that before. I mean, it's cool. I'm at Lowe's and listening to Genesis and like, Jason, you need to hear what they're playing on the Saturday morning. Calling Jason up. Here, listen.
Studio. No.
I would do it. I have. So there's that. Okay. I think that pretty well covers it. We've got I think we've given some preview for what's coming next week. We'll talk more about that Tuesday. and
Sounds good.
and we'll take it from there. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today. It's been
Thank you.
great and
Good times.
so much fun. So much fun. Again, we have now podcast format. Look for the show on podcasts on Google or on YouTube Music. It's not on Spotify or all the cool channels. It's only on YouTube Music. But we'll
Santa
try to.
has a goal of overtaking Joe Rogan.
Well,
That's
that'd
what
be-
he's been saying.
Yeah. Actually, I've got smaller goals than that, but sure. I'll
Star
take it.
Wars is an inside job. He's going to talk about it on Spotify.
I would do it. I would do it. All right, you guys. Thanks again. And Jason, you doing a show here in a little bit?
I don't think so. I think I'm going to take today off.
Excellent.
The yesterday's show still performing. Probably not really much of a reason to. So,
Excellent. And Meg, you going to do your Bad Batch breakdown yet?
Next week.
Okay.
I said in my video today that from next week they can I can do 2 breakdowns because I think Mando sucked the oxygen out of the room for the last few. So, but going forward, I'm going to do 2 breakdowns, one for the Mandalorian, and then on Thursday, the Bad Batch.
Very good.
Because the recent Bad Batch episode had no right to be that good. I was genuinely blown away when I saw it. I was like, "Where's this been?
I told you were going to be happy after you saw it.
You did say that, and you were right.
I did. I try.
I'd go as far as saying it was equally as good as The Mandalorian.
Wow, that's strong. It's really strong. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out, you guys, and I hope you both have a wonderful weekend. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much. We've had a lot of fun. I've been reading your chats along the way. YouTube does create podcasts automatically now. Not automatically. You have to go in as a content creator. You have to create a podcast dealio there, and then you have to assign the video to it. But it will then make it to a podcast. You could do that. Yeah. So there you go. All right, you guys. Well, have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging out with me and talking Star Wars today. And until you guys have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and we will see you next time. Until then, ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, and may the Force be with you.